Widest U.S. tornado on record. 19 people in that state killed in last Friday's storms. The office there in Tuscaloosa has released, in Oklahoma, they've released the names of 11 people there. Tonight we are learning one of the victims has ties to North Alabama. Family members say 67-year-old William Rose O'Neill died Friday when the F5 tornado hit the highway on which O'Neill was parked. O'Neill's nephew is from Limestone County and says his uncle was just following police orders. He was on the side of the road when the tornado turned in his direction.
It's like an angry god picked it up and just smashed a toy. The top of the car is mashed in.
Jeffrey Calvert says his uncle died in the same place several Weather Channel storm chasers were hurt when their vehicle was hit on the same highway. A storm chaser takes big risk for big rewards. Sometimes those risks are fatal. Chad Myers has more on the dangers of storm chasing.
Because you're watching Mother Nature at work and all the associated dynamics. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
The veteran storm chaser Tim Samaras made a living getting inside the storm, studying tornadoes and their fury for the past 25 years.
The safest place to be is right here in this vehicle.
The 54-year-old researcher and two others from his team, including his son, were killed Friday when a tornado crushed their vehicle near El Reno, Oklahoma. His brother was shocked.
I just could never think it would ever happen to him because of his level of expertise, years of being able to, of doing this.
Tim wasn't the only storm chaser in trouble that day.
No! No! No, no, turn now! Go south! Brett, if you don't go south, we're gonna die!
The erratic track of this storm, sudden left turn, caught many off guard. This map shows just how popular storm chasing has become. Each dot represents a vehicle.
If you put yourself 100 yards away from debris flying, you put yourself in pretty grave danger.
Mike Ailes knows a lot about tornadoes. He was part of the research team that the movie Twister was based on. He thinks storm chasing has gone too far.
It's no longer pictures of tornadoes that people want. It's video of debris or buildings blowing up or trees being blown around. And so people are taking, I think, big chances.
But it's not just scientists and videographers, thrill seekers hoping to capture chaos up close. Tornado tours are big business in these parts.
Just like people go to see the whales and everything else, they want to see tornadoes. They want to see the big ones. So that's what we do, is we take them out.
But for meteorologists and researchers, on-the-ground measurements are vital because so much still needs to be learned when it comes to violent weather.
We still don't know everything about tornadoes, and it's really important to go measure, because you can't measure with a radar. You can see things aloft. You can't really measure what's on the ground. And so very dedicated people that have risked their life to do that. There's value created by that.
Now, this is the topic of tonight's News Pulse. We want to hear from you. What do you think of storm chasing? You can email us at thepulse@WHNT.com, and storm chaser Mike Wilhelm will join Jason Simpson and I. We're going to get their perspectives. You can also get involved by using the Twitter hashtag 19NewsPulse. You can friend us on Facebook, and we post our News Pulse topics there every single day. We'll share your thoughts a little later. Now, for your No Wait weather, WHNT News 19 Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson. Jason?
Hey, Greg, whatever that thing is on radar that's been hovering over Madison County all afternoon and evening, is still there. And there's still no real explanation for exactly what it is. When we find out, we will let you know if we find out exactly what it is. 77 currently in Huntsville. Look at Meridianville and Winchester down to 68. It's 72 in Scottsboro, 75 now in Muscle Shoals. You see two areas of stormy weather, one down in the Gulf, another one up to our northwest over eastern Colorado and western Kansas. Both of those converge on the southeast later this week to bring a better chance of showers and thunderstorms. But for us tomorrow, it's just hit or miss. High at 88 degrees. Better chance of rain and storms on a widespread basis Thursday and Friday. We'll tell you when we expect the rain to get out and how it could impact the weekend coming up in just a few moments.
Coming up, we've got a great news pulse coming up. We want you to hear. This is going to be very compelling. 3 storm chasers killed on Friday after a tornado hit them, turned in their direction. Your thoughts on storm chasing, and we've got an expert when we come back.
WHNT News 19's Jason Simpson is in Florence.
Hey, Jason, when was the last time Florence had some real heavy snow?
December 31st, 1963. We had 19.2 inches of snow.
Jason, when's the last time we had a major tornado?
That was October 24th, 1967 in Florence.
Hey, Jason, you know a lot about weather. What do you know about fixing engines?
From Florence to Fort Payne and places in between, Jason Simpson knows the weather where you live. Watch him work for you on WHNT News 19. Now, your WHNT News 19 weather where you live forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson.
It's not very often that we like to come on television and say, we don't have any idea what this is, but We don't have any idea what this is. It's on radar right now. It's been there all afternoon and all evening. We suspect it might be something from Redstone Arsenal, might be top secret, so we may never know exactly what it is, but at least we can't smell it, taste it, or even see it above. It's not rain, it's not snow, it's not anything. Maybe we'll get a statement on what it is one of these days. Here's a 7-day forecast. We're anticipating highs in the lower 80s through the end of this week, but then as we get into the weekend, some sunshine breaks through, highs back close to 90 degrees, maybe even a bit above 90 with more scattered storms by Monday and Tuesday.
All right, and maybe tomorrow we'll talk more about the Arsenal. We're going to get to the Pulse tonight. Tonight in the news, Pulse, a storm chaser takes big risk, big rewards. Sometimes the risks are fatal. Veteran storm chaser Tim Samaras and 2 others from his team, including his son, killed last Friday after a tornado crushed their vehicle near El Reno, Oklahoma. Now, the pulse of the story that we're doing is healthy. A lot of folks have weighed in about storm chasing. Lucretia wrote, this story is the very reason people should not do this. I think it's very dangerous as tornadoes do turn and change directions quickly. They're not something that can be predicted. Gina agrees. God gives us a brain to use, and they obviously didn't use theirs. If they had used their brain, they would have been somewhere safe and underground. Meanwhile, Adam disagrees, saying, my fiance and I are certified storm chasers. We love our job. It's not all about doing it for fun, but more so for safety of our friends, family, and others in the community. And Charlie posted, they are necessary. Without them, even more lives would have been lost. Countless lives could have been saved because of these brave and daring people. All right, so Jason is going to stay here with us, but Mike Wilhelm, who's a storm chaser, probably the best known storm chaser in these parts, works very closely with Jason. We wanted to get his perspective. You know the issues. You've seen the debate with Oklahoma as a backdrop. So what are your thoughts?
Well, it was a very sad situation that happened, but there's a lot of good that comes out of storm chasing. There's all different types of storm chasers. There's people out there that don't need to be out there. They're thrill-seeking. They don't know what they're doing. They haven't been trained by the National Weather Service. But then you've got scientists, researchers that are learning why tornadoes form, that are helping save lives. Then you have other people sending in warnings and messages and video to television stations that people can see and say, well, I need to take cover.
And before I get Jason's perspective on this, have you seen people that you've been out and you think, man, they don't need to be out here?
Oh, I've seen a lot of them. I've been to, not as many around here as they have up in Oklahoma, but up there, the roads get clogged and it gets dangerous just being able to get to where you need to go.
Wow. Your thoughts, Jason? This is something that's been a running dialogue since this whole thing unfolded, so your thoughts.
Well, we were talking about the clogged roads. We have a picture. This is from an application called Radar Scope, and if you have an iPhone or an iPad or even a Mac, you can get this application. You see all those little red dots? Those are storm chaser cars' GPS positions. Now, Mike, weigh in on this. My question all along has been, why would anybody attack this thing from the north? That's Storm Spotter Training 101. That's what Dave Nadler from the National Weather Service in Huntsville will teach you at Storm Spotter Training. You never attack from the north. The cars down to the south, that's where we want to be. That's where you strive to be. What do you think's going through somebody's head who is north of the storm trying to attack it?
And these people should have, you know, you hate to be insensitive, but these are things that they would have known going in.
I think people that are doing that, probably most of them don't know what they're doing. They probably haven't had that National Weather Service training, but that's just definitely the place I would not want to be, and I would not recommend anybody be in that bear's cage part of the storm. Like Jason said, definitely approach from the southeast. Most tornadoes move from the southwest to the northeast, and you definitely want to be out of the path of that part of the storm.
All right, so people are sitting at home, and you know, we saw a lot of this in Tuscaloosa, where people would put some stuff on YouTube. What can be done other than just going in and preaching the gospel about be smart here?
I don't know that anything can be done. We don't want the government involved in this. Because if we get the government involved, then they shut it down. They make chase-free zones. They do a lot of things that, you know, the government does a lot of good things. But anytime you start getting top-down legislation on individual situations, well, you know, it might shut Mike down. And what Mike always does it safely. He's on that southwest flank of the storm watching it move away. So what Mike does helps us tell you what's happening. What some other people do is just for their own glory and for their own name, and that's not how to do it.
I wish we had more time for this. Mike, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
You always have an invitation to come in here and talk about these sort of issues. We want to hear from you, continue to hear from you. The Pulse at WHNT.com. You can get involved by using the Twitter hashtag 19NewsPulse. And if you haven't already, friend us on Facebook. We post the News Pulse topics there every day before the newscast. It's a girl for Channing Tatum and his wife Jenna. Their daughter, Everly Tatum, was born in London on May 31st. Now, Tatum, who was named Sexiest Man Alive in 2012, Jason Simpson was second in that poll. The timeline's very different on these things than it used to be.
You know, we don't usually do things like that here in the South, do we? It happens.
You know, sometimes I read these stories and I just think of, you know, I'm like, wow. Goodness gracious. Personalized forecast, singing on the square, downtown Athens, Friday at 6 o'clock.
I think a lot of our showers and storms will be over by the time that starts, but there could be some leading up to it in Limestone County and around a large part of North Alabama. This weekend is looking really good, though. Highs close to 90 degrees in the afternoons, lows in the 60s. And then we get more scattered storms Monday, Tuesday of next week. There's not one day on that forecast, though, where it's going to rain the entire day, so don't cancel any plans yet.
And that Saturday looks great. Jason's in here at 10 o'clock with plenty more weather.